Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special and delicious recipe for you. These are Tennessee sweet onions or southern onions, and these onions are so delicious for any side dish on a holiday meal or even just on a regular weekly meal dinner. They are so delicious. It's not a recipe that you're going to find in the recipe books, but something that you'll either taste at a potluck and want to get the recipe for, or it's something that's been passed down in a southern family. So these are the ingredients here that I'm showing you. You can find the whole recipe with all of the exact measurements and ingredients in my description. So let's get started here. We're going to start by slicing our onions. So our onions are going to be sliced really big and thick. You're going to need a 9 by 13 baking dish. You're going to want to kind of oil it up just a little bit. So I'm using some oil spray. And I'm going to go ahead and just put my onions in there while I'm slicing them. But you'll probably need a bowl because we're going to mix some seasonings and things like that on them. And then layer them back in with some cheese. So it's a pretty simple recipe, but it is one of these really good ones that just smells so delicious. And it tastes so good with almost any meal. So go ahead and just get your onions ready to slice. Get yourself a good knife, and we're just going to slice these onions together. Okay, bear with me as I chop up my 3 onions. I'm going to chop them up pretty thickly, and they're a little bit uneven, but don't worry, even if you chop them the way that I do, they'll still come out good. Everything's going to bake and become just so delicious and soft in the oven, so it's going to be okay. But typically you want your onions to be kind of a thick size. So I'm going to go ahead and just slice these up and chit chat with you for a little bit. So this recipe is not something that I grew up with. It's actually something that I learned later in life. When I was younger, actually, as far as I can remember, I actually did not like onions. I would get everything that I ordered anywhere without onions. And it wasn't until maybe 7 years ago or so that I began to eat onions. And so ever since I started to have onions, I really do like them. I like them in my meals. I mostly and generally cook with them. If you watch my videos, you see that I typically use onions in my recipe. So this meal is something that, I saw and I knew that I wanted to try it. I started to eat onions, about 7 years ago, and there was a restaurant called TGIF Fridays. I don't know if this restaurant is still around, but where I live, it shut down. But anyhow, when I started to eat onions, I really liked to get this meal there called chicken and onions. And they were kind of grilled on a skillet with the chicken, cheese, and onions. I think that's what it was called, chicken, cheese, and onions. And this really reminds me of the onions and cheese that are in that meal. So if you know what I'm talking about, that's what it pretty much tastes like. You can add this recipe or this side to like your mashed potatoes or anything like that, and it just elevates them and tastes so good. This holiday season, I'm going to be having this side on my table, and I'm planning to make it. The only downside with this meal or this side is that it takes a little bit longer to bake. So make sure that you allot enough time for this to bake in your oven. You can even make it beforehand and kind of heat it up a little bit. So whatever you like. I know I'm going to be occupying the oven this holiday season for a lot of different things. So I kind of got a plan for it. So you're going to want to kind of separate your onions into little rings as I'm doing here. Just go ahead and do that to all of them. I'm just putting them here in this pan for now, but we are going to be seasoning them and then relayering them. It's a really simple recipe to actually do. It just has a few steps that you got to do. So I remember when I saw this meal or this recipe side, and I took a look at it, and I knew this was something I was going to love. Years ago, I wouldn't have liked it, but like I said, now I absolutely love it. So I'm going to go ahead and just separate everything here. As I'm doing this, you can also begin to preheat your oven. You're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So in this bowl here, as you can see, I took the extra steps of just putting my onions in there and adding my seasoning, which is salt, pepper, some paprika, and you can add a little bit of cayenne pepper for depth and spice. So I added that in, And now I'm going to go ahead and just put a layer of onions and a layer of cheese. I'm going to be using cheddar cheese and Parmesan cheese for this recipe. If you like Gouda cheese, this is another cheese that you could use that is really good. So the cheddar cheese gives it that really cheesy, delicious taste, and then the Parmesan cheese kind of gives it this kind of salty taste. At the top, it'll kind of create like a layer of crunch or just crispiness to this recipe. So you're just going to do like so, onions, cheese, cheddar cheese, and Parmesan cheese, and another layer of onions, cheddar cheese, and Parmesan cheese. And just keep going until you're all out of onions and you've covered everything with cheese on the top. So this, like I said, is a fun recipe to do. You can even involve your kids to help you to make this recipe. It's pretty simple. Other than maybe the slicing of the onions, they could help to layer this whole side dish. So it creates quite a bit of onions. So 9x13 baking dish will serve a lot of people, but you can always double or triple the recipe for more. So as I'm doing this, I do have my oven preheating, and I'm going to go ahead and just pop it right in. So this is what the pan looks like before it's going in. One last step is to just chop up some butter, and you're just going to sprinkle it evenly on the top of your baking dish. You're also going to cover this whole baking dish in aluminum foil, and then you're going to pop it in the oven for about 45 minutes. So there's my oven at 350, and this is what it looks like. It's bubbling up and just so delicious. The house smells so good. When it's all said and done, this is what it looks like, and then you can just go ahead and serve it, and you can put it over anything that you like or eat it straight like it is. Thank y'all so much for tuning in for today's video, and I will catch you on the next one.